Thanks everybody for joining us. Josiah, technical onboarding specialist here. We've also got Jenny and Jamie who are going to help me. We're going to run through the 3D estimation. So we'll look at the 3D design of a property. We'll go through the estimate scope and then also the settings in there that you can adjust. So we'll get going here. If you have any questions, please add them to the chat, or we'll reserve time at the end so we can go through questions as well. Cool. Let's get going. So I'm going to go in here. We're at the home screen. I'm going to click on into the property. We're now on the product detail page. And then to start your 3D design, I'm going to go to Start Designing in 3D. And then we'll bring up the property. So right now is one that we've been working on, but we can go in and start a new design. So we've got a fresh building. Cool. So what we need to do is add some different products to the different trades. So I'll start with the siding. So I'll click on the side. Choose this here. This will apply it to the one facet, but I can also just go in here and apply it to every facet on here. So now the entire building is clad in the James Hardie product. But if I wanted to pick any other product, I can go through here and type whomever I want. So you do like LP if we wanted to, or printed. We can put any of these products on here. Now, next, I'm going to show, while we're still on the walls, I want to show you a feature that we've got now. So I can now split facet. Next, and now I have the opportunity to split this facet and then apply different material on the new facet. So I can either bring it down, put some brick at the bottom, or what I'm going to do is drag it up to the top and close off the gable. So I'll click apply. And now I've got a new facet here. So within this facet, I'm going to change the material. So I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to grab some Hardie board batten. We'll put it up in the gable. Cool. So now we'll move on. We'll put a different trade on here. I'm going to choose the roof. Here, again, you can search for different brands in here. I'm going to go with the GAF and then just put a different color on here so it stands out. There we go. Now I've applied GAF all over the entire roof. But sometimes you go up to roofs where you might have an accent on here, or you might have a low slope where you want a different material. We can accommodate that too. So what I'm going to do is add an accent here on the porch, since we don't have any low slope on this building. So we'll do some copper on here, make it look nice, put some Edco on. There we go. And now I've got that on here. The last thing I want is, well, I can design multiple things, but I also want to show off the fascia. So fascia, we can now apply different colors on here, different brands. So I'm going to choose to put on this James Hardie Jet Black as a fascia. I can select all fascias, or I can select partial if I wanted to. Apply that color on there. Okay. So now I can see the materials in here. So these three will pass directly on to the estimation, but we can still design for the trim if we want to. So I can choose a trim. I can choose different colors for the trim. So let's go with James Hardie. Do iron gray on the trims, and then I can choose which trims I'm putting it onto. I'm going to put it on all the trim. And there we go. Got the James Hardie trim in the iron gray. Cool. So let's move on to estimating it. So I'm going to click Start Estimate. I'm just going to save this here. And then it will pull the templates for each of these that contain like labor, material, other items with the material. So we've got it all here. And you can also click into these and change templates if you want to. So like this material is tied to these templates, so you can change sizes or texture. And then to estimate the trim and other trades that don't pass through the design, you can go to Explore All Trades, and then also choose additional templates. So we can put templates for trim or soffit or different items. So put it on James Hardie trim, we'll apply it. And we'll move forward. The other thing we do here is add a scope. You can just choose different products that you need on here. You can estimate them. So I'm going to create the estimate. Just take a moment to load. Cool. So now we're on the estimate page. It was able to generate a price. And then as I scroll down, I can see the different products. And then what I want to specifically go to is the study trim. So to design the trim further, we can go into edit scope along with other features. So right now, it just applied the template to all of the trim segments. So what I'm going to do is go into edit scope, continue. We'll load up the templates again, and then we can go through a questionnaire where you can change waste factors and other items. Jamie's going to go through this a little bit more in depth, but I just want to get over to the trim so I can show you how you can quickly configure what trim you're putting where. So here I'm at the setting trim. This will give you options between like wood grain and smooth, and then you can make adjustments to the outside, inside corners and different line segments. So defaults to 4-inch across all of them, but you can change it so you can get a nice trim on the outside corners. You can change the inside corners. Opening tops, sides and sills, so you can separate those sizes out if you need to, and different slope measurements. Okay. So continue. Create estimate again, and then I'll update the materials based on my selections here. Perfect. So still have all the materials, but I just want to look at the trim. So click this button, it'll bring me straight to the trim selection. And this is where it started dividing up the different size pieces based on the location. Cool. Well, I'll let Jamie continue on. She's going to bring you through the edit scope, and then Jenny will continue on the preferences. Jamie, all set?
Thanks, Josiah. Hi, everyone. Give me a moment to share my screen. All right. So now I'm going to go through the other way to start an estimate if you're not wanting to design in 3D. So we're going to go to this estimates card right here. Click Start an Estimate. And we're going to start from a material template. I'll go over when you should use this top box later. But this pathway is great for single family homes or smaller structures because you'll be selecting your templates first and then applying them to your facets. So it may be more time consuming to do that on a larger structure. So if we click this lower box, start from material template. So for this demo, we have our custom templates already made. However, we make them off of our starter templates down here, which you can also sort by roofing, siding, trim, gutters, etc. Or you can search the brand up here and it'll come up. So if we search, for example, like Diamond Coat, then everything we have for Diamond Coat will show by siding, trim, fascia, etc. So this library of starter templates was created through our partnerships with some of the biggest manufacturers in roofing and siding, like GAF and James Hardie. The starter templates contain, of course, the manufacturer-specific products. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to select my roofing. I'm going to do Hardie Plank, and then we'll do an accent board and batten. And we'll do trim, and let's do fascia. So now press continue. And it brings you to this 3D model. Now on the 3D model, let's say you don't want to put fascia here. You can just deselect an area from the 3D model, or you can just deselect from your facets. So here's all your facets and the square footage and the feet, sorry, in this case. And here's my fascia template up here. So it'll show you the template. Continue, same idea for roofing. It's showing all of our roofing facets by pitch. And you can select or deselect from here or the 3D model. And then here, so for our siding, we have Hardie Plank, and that's being applied right now to all of our walls. And if we want to add, let's say, a accent, you can deselect where you want to add that accent and then click on your board and batten. And then you can select that facet for board and batten. Create estimate. So now I'm at the project scope page that Josiah showed before. And we have our sections, so material, labor, and other sections. And within these sections, we have our templates. So our roofing, siding, trim, and fascia. So under materials, we have roofing material all the way down. Then we have our siding, our plank material all the way down, our board and batten, and so on and so forth. So everything's broken out by your trade. Now let's say we don't want a spray paint line item, right? We can just delete it with this little trash can right here. Okay. And now let's say I want to add a roof warranty line item. I can duplicate the GAF shingle line item with this function right here, the duplicate function. Since I want to capture the squares, so I want this measurement because in our roofing warranty, it's typically like $9 per square. So let's duplicate this shingle line item. And because I want to, because it's a roof warranty, I'm going to duplicate it to the other section. And then it's under my roofing templates, right? Here's where you could select your template, but we want to keep it under roofing. Duplicate. And now, if we go all the way down to our other section, we have right here our duplicated line item under our roofing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that name to roof warranty. I'm going to change the unit once it loads to squares. And now I'm going to go to this little calculator. This gives you your calculation details. So your measurement, your waste, your coverage. So for this, since it's a roof warranty, I'm going to do 0 waste and I'm going to do a 1 coverage. So it's 1 per square. And then to make this more realistic, we can do $9 here. Oop. Make this $9. Okay, so now we have our roof warranty line item with the square count, and it's in our squares, $9, and we have our total. Just want to also point out that we're currently in admin view. So that's why in admin view, you have the ability to manipulate the tax rate markup, unit cost, the unit, the naming, in these areas. If I was a salesperson or in the like, which is the Pro Plus user view, the only thing I would be able to do is, and I'll go up here as an example, I would be able to change the suggested item. So change the shingle type that's being used or the variant. So in this case, the color. Um, and then here, let's say I just wanted to add a material that is not attached to a measurement, so a vent. I could just click Add Material, select Template, name, of course, if there's a variant, your unit, and then the cost. And that will populate a new line item. And you have this option under both materials, well, under all three, material, labor, and other. So now I want to go through the edit scope. So basically I wanted to go through the project scope page first before bringing this up, but you should always go straight to the edit scope button once you're brought to the project scope page. Edit scope takes you to the questionnaire as Josiah showed. There's a setting though that can be turned on to automatically take you to the questionnaire after selecting your templates, but Jenny will be going over that in just a bit. So let's go to edit scope, continue. And all of your selections will be saved, so you're just going to want to press continue. Continue through here, here. And here starts the questionnaire. So you have your waste factors. So this is all in the questionnaire, everything's broken out by your templates. So you have your roofing waste factor, your siding, plank, siding, board and batten, trim, and fascia. So same for here for style selection. So with your roofing, you have the option to pick your shingles, your hip and ridge options, your starter, and then for, of course, hardy plank, your plank size, your texture, and same for board and batten. So you'll continue to just go through this questionnaire. So we have sheathing questions, some ice and water configuration questions. We also now have this auto calculate 24 inches past the warm wall, or you can do a select number of courses at eaves and do that manually yourself. Your vents, accessories, roofing service, and then it'll go through some siding questions. Again, accessories, and then your fascia. So once you make all these selections that you would like, create estimate. And now this brings you right back to your project scope page. So now let's say you made all of these changes and updates to your template and you want to save those changes so that you can use that then for future projects, use that same template for future projects. You go to Save as Template right here. And let's say you made changes to the roofing template. You'll want to click this checkbox and then update unit costs, markup and tax rate, and update the template. And then you press save. So now those changes are saved. Now, let's say we're not in a custom template right now, which we are, and you're in a starter template and you want to create a custom template. You could take your starter template, which will give you all of your manufacturer specific line items, and then you can manipulate them how you would like. And then you press Save as template, and let's say it's roofing. You just want to unclick this update template so that you could then change the name to a new starter, to a new custom template that you would want it to be named. Make that your name and then press save, and that will create a new custom template. All right, now if we go up here to our financials and we open up these two arrows, we have our material total, labor total, other total, cost, your markup, if there's any promotions applied, your total price, and of course, margin. And now when you go to manage, and here we have how do we apply the markup, right? So you can do it by the line item, you can do it by the group, so material, labor, other. You can do it at the template level, so the plank, the roofing, the panel. You have all these options. And same idea with the tax. So are we applying tax to the line item, to the group, to the template level? And then financing. So financing and promotions, these are going to be set in the back end in your settings, which Jenny's going to go over. But once you have those put into your settings, your financing options will be listed here so that you could then add financing to the job. Same with promotions. All right, so now I'm going to go through this summary button. So here's the summary. Now this gives you a scope summary. So right now, all of our templates are being captured here. So this will give you your measurements for the entire house. And also this will give you any answers to the questions you made in the questionnaire. So it'll let you know what it's pulling in. So if you clicked auto calculate, it'll show that you wanted an auto calculate for your ice and water, or if you selected Sealer Ridge and Pro Starter, you can basically see all of your selections from here. Now, if you only wanted to see your roofing, you can do it by the template. So roofing, and now it'll give you all of your roofing related measurements and your selections just for roofing. So now, if you click on this measurements link right here, you're going to have your PDF of all your measurements. And if you click 3D, it's going to bring you right back to that 3D model that Josiah was demoing earlier. And then last, if you go to details, it brings you back to your project details page right here. Also, if you see these three dots right here on the right, if you click this, this is how you rename your estimate. So let's put new estimate, save. And now my name is right here, my new name. Now I just want to go back to the beginning for a second because I wanted to show you that upper box as another pathway, this right here. So choose and scope materials in 3D. This pathway is automatically triggered by blueprint uploads and recommended for large scans like apartment buildings. The reason being is because it's detecting the different tray types on the structure and then applying the material to the total area. So here, let's take a look at this. So right here we have our 3D model. And then if we go to roofing, we could click our template. And now it's going to apply to the entire roof. And it's detecting the horizontal siding on the house. So now we can click horizontal siding. We'll click off our hardy plank and apply that. And then we could create an estimate. All right, and that's all from me. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Jenny to go over estimate preferences now.
Alrighty. Hello, crew, and good morning. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to go over estimate preferences, kind of how to really like make those preferences to what you want it to be when you're estimating. Some context. This is really for like those job managers, admins, in your roles at your current company that are making those higher level decisions, for the sales rep. So kind of to start. Here we have our like main landing page for Hover, where we have all of our projects that are usually listed. If we look in the right-hand corner, we see my initials here and typically your initials for your user. If we click that, we can get to all the settings, and I'm going to click Estimate Preferences. And now we have our Estimate Preferences screen with all of those questions that we answer or that you can answer to make sure that your estimates are gathering exactly what you need. So the first question here is require the questionnaire before creating estimates. So Jamie mentioned this while she was going through the estimate workflow that instead of going to the edit scope, we can get those questions right after we click the facets or we go through the 3D to estimate workflow. So I'm going to toggle this so we can see that really quick. And then I'm just going to press save at the bottom left. I'm going to go back to projects, press this exterior example. I'm going to click on Josiah's beautiful design. I'm going to press start estimate in the bottom left here, create estimate. And now, as you can see, we're automatically in that question screen where we're going to see questions like waste, um, reveal, texture for that hardy board, demolition questions per template, whether we want sheeting, accessories, trim's going to be asked here, right? Just like Jamie covered. So now for our sales reps, we automatically get these questions. We don't have to remember to click edit scope from the project scope. It's just automatically happening after we create that estimate. But we can always go back to it if we need to by pressing edit scope in case we missed a question. You know, if there's plywood that's rotted, whatever it may be, and we need to add sheathing, we can still go to this questionnaire if needed. Okay, so I'm going to head back to these settings, estimate preferences, kind of walk through the next couple of questions. So here's where we can set our margins, and this is where we can set our overall company margin. This is really like where we want to highlight the self-service, where you as an admin or a job manager, you can choose what you want the margins to be for every single template for your entire company. And we can even do a range, right? If you want that margin to be between 20 or 40, or typically, you know, we're seeing 30 to 35, right? And then this toggle here allows your sales reps to move around in this range or go up below or above. Or we can turn that off if we want them just to stay within 30 to 35. And then we have some opening calculations questions really pertaining to siding. So these two here, including small opening areas, including siding trim square feet, this is basically asking, do we want openings and all of the trim to be included in our total square footage of siding? For all of the areas that are recognized as siding, and even all of the areas that are maybe recognized as like stone, brick, you know, other materials that maybe we're not picking up as general siding like lap or board and batten, whatever it may be. And then this other question here, including siding opening trim square feet. So this is, do we want to make sure we're capturing all the trim around all the openings in our siding estimates as well, and in that total square footage? Same thing for all the recognized siding for any other material that might be on the walls of that home. Typically, we see companies having all of these selected, right? So they can get the most accurate estimates so that they are make sure they're capturing everything to get all the materials to make sure they're installing everything that they need. But there's always cases where maybe, we don't want to capture the trim around openings, or we don't want to include all of the openings in our square footage. So then our next section here is setting those waste factors. So we can default waste factors based on the type of material for all of our templates. If we always want siding to be at 10%, if we always want brick to be at 15, whatever it may be, we can set those here in this preferences screen. And then markup and tax we can set as well. So markup's a big one, right? This is where we can set markup to every single template across the company right here on this estimate preferences. Now, markup, right, 30%, or if it's, 50%, that's 100 points for the markup. Same kind of idea here, 30%, or if we're at 50% margin, then our markup is going to be at 100 or vice versa. So it's just that inverse relationship, just making sure we keep an eye on that. And then tax, we can set tax based on material, labor, other, for all templates here as well. And then we just press save at the bottom left. So then some other options we have here, this tab for line items and pricing. This is where we can get all of the line items currently for all materials and all labor, where we can globally change those units, the unit cost, the markup, the tax rate for specific line items that would override some of those preferences that we just discussed. But this will globally change those line items throughout all of the templates. And then we'll get to another place that we can edit those line items and templates, but quickly I'm going to go through financing and promotions. So financing, as Jamie discussed, for proposals, we can add financing option here. As we see, we have the standard financing that we've added. If I want to edit it, we can name it, right? We can provide the bank, the term lengths, the APR, we can save it. We can make this the default to always be added to all proposals. We can add more financing options. We can add as many as we want, but we only get one financing option, right, per proposal. And then this toggle here, custom options enabled. This basically means, do you want to allow your sales reps to add a financing option if they want to? If we do, we press this, enable financing options. Right, your team can apply to estimates. We toggle that on, then we save. If we don't want that, if we just want them to use the pre-saved financing options that you created, then we can untoggle this, right, save, so that they're not creating their own financing options. And then promotions is the same thing, except promotions, you can add as many as you want to any proposal. So add promotion just like you would for financing, name it, and then we can set it based on percentage or a fixed amount. So if you want to do a 30% promotion, we can set that here. Or if you want to do a fixed amount of like $1,000 per this specific promotion, we can do that as well. Same thing as financing with this custom options enabled. You can allow your sales reps to create their own promotions if you want to, or we can toggle this off if you only want them to use the promotions that you've previously made. So now getting into templates, this is where another area where we can kind of globally change those line items or turn off on templates. So first, we have our standard templates. These ones we cannot turn off. We cannot deactivate. These are our standard templates that we've made with like plenty of renowned, very well known manufacturers in the industry that we have all of their products per template, all of the install requirements that you need. These are how you can make your custom templates. So from these standard base templates that we created with manufacturers, you can make your custom templates from them. So we can't turn these off. But once you make your custom templates, you can then turn these off or on, or you can edit them. So if I edit, when I go into a template, and I'll discuss this here in a second, but these are all the line items that are in the template. And we can change these as well to kind of globally affect for all future use of this specific template, which is really nice. And once again, that self-service that like we as job managers, as admins can decide what we want these line items to be for our sales reps. So then some of these options up here, we can rename the template. We can add a description of that template that we will see in the proposal. And then we can add markup specific to that template that would override company markup. We can have sales tax, labor, other sales tax, right? And then these line items. So yeah, that is our settings and our estimate preferences. And as I said before, this is really like where the self-service happens and where specific to job managers, administrators, they can customize, set what they want their estimates to be. So the sales reps, they just have to go and sell and it's all set up for them. Margins, all of that is ready to go. But this is where job managers and admins can really set how they want those estimates to be. And that kind of wraps up um, our our presentation. If you guys have any questions, I have time about 20 minutes to answer those or answer anything in the chat. So please feel free to ask away, and we'd love to answer any questions. Okay. I see a question here. Is there a waste factor for roofing? Yep, there definitely is. And that can be automated or it can be in the questionnaire. I'll go to that really quick. So we click on this design, we go to start estimate. If it was a roofing template, this is where we would see that waste factor question come up where you can toggle it. Or we can set all of items to a predetermined waste factor, and then this question wouldn't come up for your sales reps. I've seen a couple times about Xactimate pricing. So what's really awesome about this product is it's all self-service. So we are integrated with Xactimate. We can send scope of loss estimates to Xactimate. But what's nice is in Xactimate, you can see, right, like what the pricing is per that area or per that zip code. And then you can customize those line items to what you need the pricing to be, and they'll be linked to the activity codes so that they go into Xactimate correctly. Those prices will just be set on the user interface of Hover. Okay, and then I see a question about distributors, ABC, other suppliers. Yes, we do currently in our current state of estimation, not this one, but our previous state of estimation, we can do direct ordering with distributors like SRS, QXO, ABC. But in current state, that is coming. So we are working on the integration from 3D to Estimate to continue our direct ordering feature. Yes, after dividing a facet, so when you create that split, that updated square footage is represented in the estimate. Yep, absolutely. And like if you're putting an accent on that new facet, that square footage will be calculated specific for that accent for that template as well.
Jenny, can you just uh, touch on the waste factor once more? Just like what's included in it and the
What
recommended waste factor?
recommended waste? Yep.
Yeah,
Let me go
so
to
for like roofing
a
and stuff.
let me go to a roofing one. So here
Yeah,
we have that
so
hover recommended waste. Sorry, go ahead, Josiah.
no, yeah, so yeah, you brought us to the hover recommended waste factor. So when you come in here, it's automatically going to be set to 10%. And then you can change it on the slider to go up and down depending on what you need. We also have the recommended waste factor that takes into consideration the complexity of the roof, and it will apply that waste factor across the line items. And from there, that's the default. Once you get into the edit scope, you can also apply those waste factors on a line item basis to the templates.
So I'll show that here too in case you need to change the waste factor at all. We can go to the line item for the shingle. We can click this calculator and we can always change that waste factor here as well. And it'll change in real time.
And then if you save that, we can save that template as well into the system, so we can maintain that waste factor for that line item. And I see, can we get the recommended waste factor on the 3D hover? Uh, for roofing, it will come through. It doesn't have a hover recommended waste factor for siding or other trades.
The monthly payment for the financing from Jerry, can you enter the monthly payment on financing? So you'll actually see it in the proposal. Once you select the financing option, the proposal will show you what your monthly payment will be based on that financing that was selected. And next week, we will have a presentation for proposals that will do more of a deep dive of what our proposals look like.
One other item I wanted to add on there for like the distributors, once integration is set up and you go through the process of ordering the materials, we'll send over our material. You'll get to a screen where you'll see the materials that you're ordering and it will pull in the distributor pricing at that point, but it won't pull it in directly to the screen. So anything that you see here for pricing is going to be what you put into the system. But once you order materials, you'll get another screen and then it will connect with their system to bring you the up-to-date price for those items. That's for ABC, QXO, SRS.
Sorry, just answering a question really quick. Okay. Do all users have access to all these features, or are they limited to certain tiers of Hover users? That's a great question, Dustin. So like, for example, this like project scope page is different based on the user. So the Pro Plus user will not be able to save a template, correct, Josiah?
Right.
Yeah, they will not be able to save a template. They won't be able to change like really change these like anything for line items. These are all set based on if you're an admin or a job manager. And then they won't really be able to toggle financials or manage, or if they can, right, based on those estimate preferences, it's based on what you set their limits to be, if they can change the margins at all. And then estimate preferences, obviously, only admins can make these decisions. Pro Plus users don't have access. Is there an ETA for integrated pricing? So we don't have an ETA for integrated pricing with distributors, but that is coming. That is in the works, and especially like being able to have that pricing talk back and forth with CRMs. That is coming soon. We don't have a specific time, but that is in the works for sure.
I saw there was a question about one-on-one training. Jenny or Josiah, do you know the process after for them to get that one-on-one training? I'm not 100% sure, but we can definitely find out if we're not sure and have someone get back to you.
Yeah, we can find that out, send it out.
But yes, I'm sure you could definitely do one-on-one training, but we'll just find out who will contact you.
Okay. So if we're Nick, if you're selling Allura siding instead of Hardy, gotcha. Do we have to manually create each line item? It's pretty easily converted over, especially right, like we're talking fiber cement, like pretty similar. The only thing that's probably going to change are the coverages. So what I would recommend is if you were using this product, I would create a custom template from a Hardy template, and then just change the name of the line items, change the coverages, maybe delete what you don't need, like if there's a bunch of touch-up kits, whatever that Hardy has that Allura doesn't, and then save that template. And then those line items that you customized will be saved for all future uses, and you can call it, your Allura siding template.
Hey, Jenny, I just want to show something real quick because we brought up the permissions. I was able to create a new user with the Pro Plus permissions.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen here. Just to show an example. I went through an estimate real quick with this user, and then when they get to the estimate page, they really get locked out. A lot of the items, they're not able to change quantities, they're not able to change the units, they're not seeing the markup, margin, or tax in here. They can change the variation for colors if they need to. Sometimes we can provide suggested items where they can change this, but coverages, waste, that stuff's getting locked out for them. On top of that, within the manage that Jamie showed earlier, it could just show you the profit margin on the job, allow you to add financing. This here, you can either have pre-built-in financing options for them. You can provide access to custom financing for them, but it's by default turned off. This account just happens to have it on. And then for promotions, same idea. You can have preloaded promotions in your system, or you can provide them the option for creating their own customer promotions, but that's also defaulted as off. So you can just give them their options for promotions and only allow them to use those on that basic lab. Any other questions in there, Jenny, Jamie, you see?
I'm just answering another one. I guess I'll just talk about this one. So, Dustin, I know you talked about, or you brought up like windows and doors in the 3D model. So currently we actually have like a really cool partnership with Pella, or you can put generic windows on there as well. But in the 3D model, and I can just kind of show it as well. Share. So we can add like and remove windows and doors in the 3D model to get a visual, which is pretty cool. So if I want to do windows, we can do generic. We also have Pella. Oh, maybe not in the 3D model. Maybe I'm thinking of Instant Design, but we do have windows. Um, so if I want to change the windows out for a casement with these prairie grids, right? I can select these windows, select that, and then I can change the look of these windows. Same thing with doors, right? If the homeowner wants to visualize a different door they'd be getting, I can select which door, do that front door, select this, then we can change out that door as well, and they can get a visual. Garages, same thing, can get a visual of what we want that new garage door to look like. Choose this guy here. The only thing we can't do is we can't get an estimate for these items. So we can't generate like what this garage door is going to cost, what the windows are going to cost in current state that is coming. But we can get a visual and show the homeowner like what it will look like when the windows are changed out. But what we can do is if you're subscribed to our service to get the product and you're working with one of us, like a technical onboarding specialist, is we can create a custom template for you if you're selling a lot of windows that has window linens on there for basic prices per UI that you want to purchase, that you are purchasing for, or that you're selling to homeowners, and we can have install costs in there as well. So we can capture window estimates that way. We just can't do it through the 3D visual quite yet. So I saw a question. Can I create an estimate if only capture the pictures and hover without measurements yet? No. So the measurements are pretty crucial for this 3D to estimate, right? To create an estimate, we have to have those measurements. But what you could do if you still want to give a visual to a homeowner is you can create in design in 2D. So all you have to do to design in 2D is upload one photo of a home, and usually just like that front elevation of the home, upload it, and then you can use the same product catalog from 3D design to update features, right? Like the siding, design, and then it's that same exact catalog that we were just working with, except you can give a visual to the homeowner of what their potential house could look like. And for this feature, you don't need to have measurements. Is the financing feature available for all contractors? As long as you're subscribed for this product, yes, you have availability to financing, as long as you know your user is an admin or job manager. Another question about linking to suppliers. So currently, yes, pricing is self-service. But like I said previously, we are in the works of in the future doing a integration with distributors. Permits. Good question. That is an other line item that we have in all of our templates that you can change the pricing for. There he is. There should be demo videos, and this is being recorded, and I believe it will eventually be sent out for you to rewatch as well. Okay, good question. Can I restrict sales reps users from viewing the price breakdown, markup, and tax and allow them to see only the total? So yes, in the project scope page for Pro Plus users, they'll only be able to see the total cost. They won't be able to see markup, tax, and that can all be toggled off and on from the preferences and settings as well. Is there a template or example to estimate a good, better, best? Yes. So great question about presenting good, better, best. In our presentation next week for proposals, we are absolutely going to go over this. Our proposal feature is really cool to where you can grab multiple estimates and compare them all side by side. You can even have a house with a detached garage or a detached shed and add that to comparison or add that together to a proposal. So yeah, really good question. But we will go deeper into that next week into our proposal demo. Hover doesn't offer the financing directly, so it's whatever terms you have with your current lender, but you can describe those options and what that monthly payment is in the financing tab. Okay, I see another question about, is there a way to add a new opening window or an empty wall? Really good question. So we cannot change what the home is currently in its existing state. So the measurements we grab is, and the model that we use is the current state of the home and how it currently looks with the measurements that it has. So we can't remove a window or add a wall. Currently, it's all based on what is existing on the home. Really good question, though. You're on the 3D property. When you're in the 3D design for a property, how do you get the button for create estimate in bottom left corner pop up? Okay, so let's do a new design really quick. So in this design, let's say I'm just gonna add siding really quick. Once I add any kind of product, this start estimate will toggle. So once there is any kind of material added, we'll see a start estimate because it's triggering a template to be used. We'll just have to save the design. Starting our estimate, it's pulling all those measurements, getting all those goodies for us. And then I can create estimate and I can even change which template it's using. Hopefully that answers your question.
Then I just saw a question about detached garage. I think we'll probably go over that next week with the proposals
Yeah.
because we can do multiple structures in one proposal. Something new that we haven't been able to do before.
Yes, and in this, a part of our new product, new PDP product detail page, instead of having, if you're familiar with Hover, instead of having to do two jobs for the house and the detached garage, we can actually have both of those two structures exist in one product detail page. So we can have estimates for the detached garage and the home all live in this same estimate card. And we'll go further into that into proposals. Digital ordering. This is currently in current state for this estimation product, this new estimation product. It is not currently available, but we are working on that and that will be available in a future state. In our previous estimation product that is available, right now we're just working on how to get that 3D to estimate to be able to digitally order. That will be available soon though. Does that estimate include labor costs? Yes, all of our estimates have labor and a labor section, and they all have basic labor costs that you guys can customize.
Jenny,
Yeah,
just want to pause there about the digital ordering. Digital ordering, so that 3D to estimation process that we showed you, the digital ordering is not connected to that at the moment. So if you're going from the 3D design that we have, going to the estimate, those selections are not going to carry over to the digital ordering. Separately, you can create an estimate to digital ordering, but that whole 3D to estimate to digital ordering is not one solid line at the moment.
so yeah, let me pull up an estimate really quick so we can see that labor section. So we go to the project scope, we have our materials, list of all our materials, and then every single template will have a labor section as well. So we have that tear off, installing shingle, pitch surcharges, step flashing, all that fun stuff. Okay,
For me,
Miguel, that's a good question. So if you have pictures already in file and have generated a report for a different user company, why can't we purchase that same report? So that is because all of our estimates that we create are all live based on what the current state of the home is. So if a hover was captured a year ago, that house could have potentially changed since then, right? Like there could be new siding, there could be a new structure, there could be a new roof. So the reason you have to get new measurements and purchase another report is because the efficacy of all of our estimates are current state. So those 8 pictures you capture around the house, that is what is existing on the home when you capture those images. And it helps make sure that the measurements are very accurate in for what that is needed today in the current state of the home. But good question.
I just want to note there as well, like if you had already captured the house in the past, you can request for the measurements to be updated. But like if you took capture a year ago, you still have that home in your account. From time to time, we update the measurements and what's available on that model. But you can just request for those to be updated.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like Josiah said, if it's within your organization, within your company, we can update those. But if it was captured with another company, it is not possible to purchase or transfer from a different company.
Cool. Well, we should probably get wrapping up. We've gone over a few minutes.
Yeah.
Um, no, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back webinar next week. We'll go through the proposal stuff and be able to answer more questions. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.